So Gaurav, we are live now. So hello everyone, welcome to EduTap. So today I have with me a very special guest, another SEBI Grade A officer. Thank you for coming, Mr. Gaurav.
Thank you, and I would like to thank EduTap for providing me opportunity. Uh, I would love to help the aspirants to resolve their SEBI doubts and all the confusions they have. Thank you.
Right. And I feel that students would be also very curious to know your story about the preparation and, of course, now the selection. So it's a great achievement that you have got, Gaurav. You have told me that you have been preparing for the competitive examinations and you completed a course last year itself, company secretary course you have done after your BCom.
Yes.
Right. So, anything else you'd like to add on for your educational qualification or your background before we begin with the strategy?
My name is Gaurav Devedi. I was born and brought up in Delhi. Ma'am, I did my graduation from Delhi University and completed in the year 2017. And after that, I decided to pursue some professional qualification as I thought only the graduation would not suffice in this competitive industry. So I decided to go for a higher qualification, professional qualification. I choose a company secretary because I was more into how companies work and how things work in the company. I was curious to know about that. So I completed my graduation. I completed my company secretary course. After that, I got into my practical training, my internship. I did my internship from a top most CS firms based in Delhi. Uh, After that, I applied for SEBI. No, during my training tenure, I applied for SEBI, and after my training got over, I ramped up my preparation for SEBI Grade A.
And now you are here with us, selected officer, sharing your strategy. We are really happy about that. Okay. So, guys, as Gaurav has told, he has completed his company secretary course and done BCom and has been selected through generalist post in SEBI 2020, right, as a grade A officer. So, Gaurav, first of all, before we begin, the most important question I would like to ask is how did SEBI happen? Because, this is not a very common exam that many students are preparing for. So, how did you come across this exam?
I only did came across SEBI while I was preparing. I was doing my internship. Uh, I didn't know about the 2018 notification earlier, so I was aware about the role in SEBI as I have studied SEBI regulation in my company secretary's course. I was aware that what SEBI is, how SEBI controls the capital markets, how big the organization is. So working with the regulator always amazed me. I always thought of working in a capital market, but I've not thought of working with the SEBI. I thought I would land up in any capital market intermediary position in a mutual fund or in a listed companies. So I was not thought of working with a SEBI.
Right. So basically, but you had plans, you had interest in this field and you were finding some things related to it. So, and you landed there only. Right. So, Gaurav, talking about your preparation, the exam preparation, you have been preparing, as you said, like dedicatedly for like 1 year after you completed your course, you were preparing for SEBI as well as for other courses, other exams also, which is natural because obviously even today candidates who are preparing, they are also keeping in mind other exams like, let's say, NABARD. You also prepared for it, I think. RBI is there. So what would you like to suggest to the candidates who are preparing for these exams? Like, is it feasible to carry on the preparation of, let's say, NABARD? The notification is out, so NABARD and SEBI or RBI simultaneously. Is
Oh,
it feasible?
yes, it is very much feasible because the paper on syllabus is almost same. The quant, reasoning, English, and current affairs are almost same in every competitive exam. So you don't have to work twice on that. Uh, Coming to different regulator type questions, suppose NABARD specializes in agriculture and other different things. So it is the only thing you have to specialize in that. Uh, Coming to SEBI, there are a lot of practical things. Uh, the syllabus is also somewhat similar. The management is also there. The management is there in RBI also.
Right.
Economics is there. So I think if one is clear in that field, he may not face any problem in the other exam.
So basically, the idea is that you should have the clarity, the exam you are
Definitely.
preparing for, and also try to make a sync of the subjects
Right.
that are common, because we tend to miss out. Students tend to miss out, as you said, that quant, reasoning, English. This phase one is basically one paper is completely common in all the exams. Good to know that, right? So I hope again students who are preparing for NABARD have this thing in mind for SEBI, so they should be like now confident after hearing this from you. Okay. So Gaurav, let's talk about this phase one, paper one only first. The common subjects, as you said. So how did you prepare for these subjects for your exam?
For paper one, I did for current affairs. I read the monthly current affairs magazine from EduTap. It is really useful because you don't have to look daily the current affairs. The monthly magazine will do all the things for you for current affairs. And I also read the newspaper daily. It is a good habit to read newspaper daily because the interview questions are also from newspapers and everything. So current affairs is not a big deal. या तो आपको आता है नहीं आता है बस टिक करना है. It is the easiest
Okay.
part. You can score easily in the current affairs. Coming to quant and reasoning, these two things take practice. Uh, Without practice, you don't have to crack all this. I I managed to crack this because I was doing this in my banking exams also. I was practicing reasoning and quant. I was not good at maths because good at maths. It took me longer for maths. I in reasoning I did my practice very well, so I scored in reasoning very well. Coming to English, I scored my highest marks in English, so I only managed to crack the cutoff because of the English marks. English is easy, not so tough. You can easily crack the English. In English, the scoring areas, what I see is reading comprehension and the jumbled up words. In these two areas, you can crack marks easily.
So what I understand, as you have told, is कि जो GA रहेगा या current affairs है आपका, that is easy. Easy as in the
Definitely.
questions are not time consuming. बिल्कुल भी है ना. In the exam, you just know the answer or you do not know. उसको mark कर देना है, right? It is not at all time consuming. Then English is also, if you prepare well, अगर you are reading newspapers, let's say, or you have this you're acquainted with English language, जैसे आपने कहा reading comprehension है, jumbled words है, so if you target English and GA, easy marks can be fetched in the paper. Quant reasoning, on the other hand, उसमें you need practice अच्छे से. If you are good at it, very good, है ना, very well, that is practice करो उस हिसाब से. If you are, let's say, students are not good in quant and reasoning, then they must practice the things जो कि most important है exam के लिए.
So also you have to identify the areas in reasoning where you can score. In reasoning, there are specific areas like slog. Slog is easy, very easy if you do practice. It comes with practice. So if you do practice of slog, you will come easily. It's not so time consuming. In reasoning, there is also I would say that there are some long question like puzzles. That's very tricky because if you get into it will take your 4 to 5 minutes easily. So unless you're not sure of that question, don't go into it. And I would say in quant there are topics like profit and loss, quadratic equation, which is easy. You have to identify the easier part in these because as time is very limited, and you don't have a lot of time to practice all these topics because there is a anything can come in quant from mensuration to like from mensuration to profit and loss, compound interest, everything. So you have to identify the topics.
That you want to actually do in paper. For that, you should have a good practice and you should be confident that, okay, this topic, this question I'm going to choose. ये होना चाहिए. Right. So, guys, I think fair enough. This is, we have also discussed earlier also, Gaurav, that we also tell students that GA, if you're good at it, let's say you are preparing for other exams, GA English are going to help you there also. So, use that as a leverage in this exam. Quant reasoning, again, you have to identify which topics you're good at, which you are not. And I think, Gaurav, even you would suggest mock tests to know
Definitely.
your own level of
Yes, yes.
quant
I'll
reasoning.
come to that. Mock test is really helpful because it shows where what is your position, and it also signifies that in which areas you're lagging. Suppose if you take the answer, you think it was correct, but by some silly mistake it was wrong. So you need to work on that, identify that point, so you don't repeat that mistake in the exam. So it's very important.
Right, fair enough. Right. So that is where mock test, this is for phase one. I hope you would also like to tell us later about mock tests also.
Yes.
Right. So guys, this I think was about phase one, paper one, okay, which is of course gonna be helpful for other exams also, because this is the same strategy that you have to use, right? Now coming to Gaurav, paper two, for phase one as well as phase two, right? The most important paper. Now, because you had this background from company secretary, so as you have told me that three subjects you had already studied, uh, and three, that is economics, management, and finance, were new to you, right? So let's first talk about the subjects that were also new to you. How did you prepare? Where did you start from?
Okay. So as I've said, I've read these subjects in my company secretary's course. So the subjects which I have not studied, it was not that I was very new to this subject. I read economics in my 11th and 12th. I read management in my 11th and 12th. Uh, but uh, but this time you need to uh, level up your this management and economics, as because the subtopics in these economics and management were also new to me. So in management, what I used to do that first I would see a topic, for example, leadership. I I see the leadership. I make handwritten notes. I You have to think in a leader notes. You have to handwritten notes and think that you are going to do it. You have to imagine by that. And for this, I guess, economics, I also studied in the class 12. It was not difficult for me.
Okay. Right, management and finance. What about
Yes, in
finance?
finance, it was about reading the newspaper also. It was about numericals because a lot of numericals comes from finance field. Um, in finance, you need practice and learning.
Okay. So, one more thing here on this note, I would like to ask, कि जैसे your finance and management are also common for RBI examination. You also read finance management. So, do you think that preparation, let's say someone has prepared for RBI and is now giving SEBI, let's say, so that preparation of finance and management will help here also in this paper?
Definitely, ma'am. Because in RBI, the syllabus in RBI and SEBI, the syllabus is quite same. So you have to identify the common part. The finance is the most common part because it's a finance industry. SEBI is also come under that. RBI also come under that. So it is very much similar in syllabus. It's definitely going to help.
Right. So now moving to the three other subjects, you had this background of accounts, company secretary, and all these subjects. But when students do not have this background, they find these subjects difficult. You know, where to start, what to start is the question basically. Is there any priority? We suggest that you should pick up this subject, or you say that no, uh, rather all three can be taken, anyone can be chosen. What will you suggest?
Uh, for a commerce student, it is not new. For a non-commerce student, is new because they've not studied the basics, I guess.
Hmm.
So for a non-commerce student, I would suggest to watch to buy a course, because in course you have got the material which is very easy language. You can understand by just reading that. It also takes some less time, because if you go by the basics, it will take time, and in these exams we don't have much time to work on that.
Hmm.
So for a non-commerce student, I would suggest to buy a course which has very which is very brief and informative, and also which is very much easier.
To cover. Here I have one question which we get from students, Gaurav. ऐसा है कि they buy a course, let's say, but then they probably feel that this may not be enough. इसके अलावा कुछ, shall I refer to some books? Shall I refer to 2 or 3 courses? So this, I think, causes a lot of confusion students में ना, non-commerce especially.
Ma'am, I would suggest that buy only one course, believe in that. Okay, don't go buying too much courses, because you have not time to finish all of it. I would suggest that buy one course and buy one test series. I also bought one test series, and I did my self study, so I didn't need to buy any course. Uh, so I guess only one course would suffice. Only one course and one test series which has a 20 plus marks. I myself gave around 20 to 25 marks in paper one and paper two. So buying a test series with a course would definitely help.
So the idea is, again, it is related to clarity, I would say, as you said earlier, that you should be clear. And when you buy any course, stick to it, because this is a
Definitely.
competitive examination.
Right.
Rather than reading each and everything, what you have
Yes,
got, clear that thing well, so that
yes.
you can
You
do.
have to be conceptual in your understanding, because in these exams uh, they don't test your ratta skills. Um,
Hmm.
in these exams, there are very fine points they would look for. So for a person who has not studied deeply, wouldn't be able to make it, I think.
Hmm. ठीक है. अच्छा, Gaurav, on that note, I would like to ask, out of the 6 subjects of paper 2, which subject do you find easy? Easiest, I would say.
I think Companies Act, because I have background in CS, so Companies Act I would uh, I didn't give too many. I only read around, I think 2 or 3 days in Companies Act, and I finished it all. So Companies Act was easy for me, and also find management interesting, because it is very new, and there was also some new points which I find it interesting. Evolution of management to studies and everything, leadership theories. I find it interesting.
So, as Companies Act, also you found interesting, probably because you had the background also. Because we get this query enough, I think probably you will be able to relate that there are a lot of, like penalties, for example, or the sections that a student has to remember from Companies Act. So they find it really difficult to remember all those things. How would you suggest that this is the way to make
I
it a bit
understand.
easier?
For a non CS, it is very difficult to read the learn the sections and penalties, right? So penalties I have also not learned completely. What I did was make a note of all the penalties, because if you read the section, the penalties are same. So write the penalties and write the sections, because in the end you first of all, I would not suggest to focus on the penalties. Focus on the content of the section. Penalties may or may not come in the exam.
Hmm.
Uh, so focus on the section first. Okay, so in penalties, write the penalties and write the section, because penalties are same are same for different section. It is I think 3 to 4 penalties are there. Um,
Hmm.
uh, the term and the fine which is there, it is different, but you have to make a note of it to get it to understand it easier.
So again, what I understand is that, as you said, only ratta thing is not required. Rather, have the understanding. Because all the questions will definitely not be from penalties that they are going to ask each and
Hmm.
every penalty. So better to like make your notes, understand the section, right? And then obviously tabular form, some handwritten notes can be used
Hmm.
for the easy revision. That would help, right? Okay. And another thing that is like a lot of students ask this, it is about the numerical part. Okay, itna sara numerical, how to practice. A lot of numericals अगर practice, students get confused कि क्या करें क्या छोड़ें, and probably especially if coming from non-commerce background. तो उसमें how do you suggest for the paper?
Okay. And first of all, make a note of all the formulas you have. Okay. So most important thing is remembering the formulas.
Okay.
तो फॉर्मूलाज रिमेम्बर करने के बाद आपको ज्यादा से ज्यादा मॉक टेस्ट देने हैं, ठीक है।
Hmm.
उसमें आपकी एक्यूरेसी पता लगेगी, बिकॉज इसमें न्यूमेरिकल्स में क्या होता है कि बहुत सारी चीजें आप मिस आउट कर देते हो। मतलब छोटी छोटी चीज अगर क्वेश्चन घुमा के पूछ लेगा तो फिर डिफरेंट उसका वो अप्रोच होनी चाहिए। तो आपको पहले अपनी अप्रोच ठीक करनी है, आपको ज्यादा से ज्यादा मार्क्स देने हैं, देन फाइंड वेयर यू आर लैगिंग। So I think practicing numericals is that can make you excel in it.
So again, as you said, first of all, make the notes of the formulas that you have,
Yes.
then do a lot of practice of your
I
through
also
your mock.
suggest that one cannot remember formula by just reading it. You cannot cram formulas. Understand the basics behind it. तो उससे क्या होता है, उससे जब आप क्वेश्चन करते हैं आपकी अंडरस्टैंडिंग ज़्यादा अच्छी हो जाती है न्यूमेरिकल्स करते टाइम, तो उससे बहुत हेल्प होती है।
तो गौरव, what about numericals in जो पेपर में आपके थे? How what was the level of the questions जो numerical थे? वो कैसे लगे आपको?
Man, this time numericals, there was most of the numericals around आई थिंक 20% से ज़्यादा न्यूमेरिकल्स ही थे। तो मैंने क्या किया था, मैंने न्यूमेरिकल्स को लास्ट में देखा। जो पहले मेरे को आता था मैंने वो किया, बिकॉज न्यूमेरिकल्स आर टाइम टेकिंग। तो पहले आप वो करो जिसमें आपको आता है, जो आपको कंफर्म है कि ये पक्का ठीक है। फॉर न्यूमेरिकल्स, न्यूमेरिकल्स में आप जो है सबसे पहले जो आपको लगता है इजी है, जो न्यूमेरिकल आपको इजी लगता है पहले वो उस पे जाओ, एंड देन अगर आपको लग रहा है कि ज्यादा टाइम ले रहा है तो उन्हें छोड़ दो। तो दिस इज द थिंग, मैंने भी ज्यादा अटेम्प्ट नहीं किया न्यूमेरिकल्स। और लेवल, आप अगर लेवल की बात करो तो ये प्रैक्टिस से हो जाएगा, इतना कुछ मुश्किल नहीं है।
तो मतलब the level of questions numericals is not too difficult that you have to prepare that, because students can get in this trap, no, that I have to solve all the difficult numericals and all. And secondly, as you said, I think that would also help that you can leave that thing and focus on other questions first. Yes. In the paper. Okay. And this was, we spoke about the numerical part and the difficult things, right? Now, which subject do you find really difficult, or you find it is not as easy like others out of the 6?
I find it standard costing not difficult, because I was also weak in standard costing. I've not focused on that, so my basics were missing. So in this also, I didn't focus on standard costing. In costing, I focus on different things like lean costing and other marginal costing. मार्जिनल कॉस्टिंग के फॉर्मूले मतलब न्यूमेरिकल्स बहुत इजी हैं, वो कोई भी कर सकता है, मतलब थोड़ी प्रैक्टिस चाहिए तो आप उस पर फोकस कर सकते हो। स्टैंडर्ड कॉस्टिंग के न्यूमेरिकल्स थोड़े मुश्किल हैं, थोड़े ट्रिकी हैं, बट आपको उस पर फोकस करना है जो आपको इजी लग रहा है।
ठीक है, again, like choosing what you have to do for pele. Another question, Gaurav, I have, let's say as a student, someone decides that I have to prepare for SEBI. As I asked earlier also, that there are 6 subjects I have to cover. I know how to prepare phase 1, paper 1, and English also I'm good at. Now coming to the specific subjects. I have, let's say, no background, right, in the commerce, and I've also not prepared for others examinations. Let's say RBI for that matter, कि मुझे finance management आता हो. So now I have with in front of me 6 subjects. अब what do you suggest कि which subject to pick up at priority या फिर कुछ like ऐसा pairing करके that choose this subject and साथ में ये पढ़ो या कुछ भी पढ़ो, ऐसा कुछ suggest करोगे आप?
मैम फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल जैसे आप डिफरेंट एग्जाम देते हो तो फाइंड द कॉमन पार्ट इन दैट एग्जाम. फॉर आरबीआई इन सेबी द कॉमन पार्ट इज मैनेजमेंट फाइनेंस. यू कैन फोकस ऑन दैट फर्स्ट. और बाकी जो उससे रिलेटेड है, जैसे आरबीआई का ज्यादा फाइनेंस पे फोकस है, मोर न्यूमेरिकल्स ओरिएंटेड. सेबी का है ये इकोनॉमिक्स और ये मैन इकोनॉमिक्स अकाउंटेंसी, ये सारी चीजें आ जाती हैं. तो आप पहले इन्हें साइड कर दो. जो कॉमन पार्ट है आप उस पर फोकस करो ताकि आप ज्यादा कम टाइम में ज्यादा पढ़ सको दोनों के लिए. तो इस अप्रोच से चलना है. और बाकी जैसे जैसे एग्जाम नियर आता है तो आप यू कैन फोकस योर अटेंशन टू दैट एग्जाम. जैसे आरबीआई आ रहा है तो आप ज्यादा आरबीआई का पे फोकस कर सकते हो. तो दिस अप्रोच.
मतलब the thing is that it should not be it is not the case that out of the 6 subjects this one should be covered in priority. You should give priority to एक सबसे पहले इसको करो. It is not the case. You say that all have somewhere equal weightage. ऐसा ही ना. ठीक है. Again, this would be helpful because we get this query Gaurav a lot that probably out of these 6 subjects कोई एक या दो ऐसा है जो ज्यादा important है पेपर के लिए. जबकि we have seen ऐसा नहीं है.
You cannot tell because because there is not subtopic weightage. So so it is you have to decide that to prioritize.
Anything else you want to add on for the preparation of this paper? Then we will move on to your English part.
Ma'am, in the phase 1 and phase 2, I would like to say that the revision and the test series made it possible because जो भी आप पढ़ते हो you tend to forget it. So आप ऐसा करो, आप handwritten notes बनाओ. एक handwritten notes बना के क्या होता है, जब आप लिखते हो तो आपके दिमाग में बैठ जाती है वो चीज़. अब फिर जो आप देखते हो वो इमेज मेमोरी होती है. बस आपको देखते ही समझ आ जाता है कि ये क्या है, इस पेज में क्या था, ऐसे क्या था, फिर उसके आगे क्या है. तो वो चीज बहुत हेल्प करती है रिवीजन के टाइम पे. एंड कंटिन्यूअस रिवीजन एंड गिविंग मॉक्स डेफिनेटली गोइंग टू हेल्प. मॉक्स देने के बाद आपको उसे एनालाइज भी करना है कि ये क्वेश्चन सही होना था, ये गलत कैसे हो गया, और जहाँ जहाँ जो चीज मिसिंग लग रही है आपको उन चीज पे फोकस करना.
So revision and mock tests are gonna complete your preparation. सिर्फ खाली because this is a competitive examination है ना, खाली पढ़ने से नहीं होगा. Rather complete करो revision multiple times and then mock test देना होगा. Right? Definitely. I think this is very very important tip that you have given. Students should note it down. If you are like sincerely preparing for the exam, you cannot miss out on mock tests and also revision. ठीक है. Right. So we have discussed about your phase 1, phase 2 majorly. Now, would you like to give some tips for English descriptive paper?
Well, first of all, I would like to say that I bought Narveer sir course from EduTap. Narveer sir course definitely helped me because the fodder material was really good. Because English is new to me because English मैंने typing में दिया नहीं था कभी. तो इंग्लिश में क्या होता है, आपको पहले अगर ऐसे राइटिंग है तो आपको फॉर्मेट देखना है क्या है. तो इंट्रोडक्शन, बॉडी एंड कंक्लूजन आपको मतलब उस हिसाब से अपनी वर्ड लिमिट रखनी है कि फिट हो जाए. तो इसमें जैसे इफ यू रीड मोर एंड मोर एसेज यू विल गेट एन आइडिया हाउ इट शुड बी ड्राफ्टेड. So what I did, I practiced 3 to 4 essays. And I got the idea what the examiner wants me. So I remember Narveer sir focused on saying that your essay should be a statistical essay, should contain facts. So these are really good tips that we had given to all of the students. So it helped me. And coming to this Pressy and all, Pressy में you read more and more editorials. Then you need then आपको समझ आ जाएगा कि इसमें क्या है. तो उसमें Pressy में प्रैक्टिस चाहिए.
So basically English is about practice also. That RC है वो भी करना, essay practice
Yes,
you
ma'am.
should do, and essay writing advance में you should have like written 4 to
Yes,
5
ma'am.
essay. ठीक है.
And also,
अच्छा,
ma'am,
what?
I would say, sorry,
Please, please.
ma'am, ma'am, in these competitive exam, what happened that we are not used to typing, so you must also practice typing also, because exam में क्या होता है वो एक बहुत छोटा सा dialog box होता है, and आपको continuously type करना है, वो आपको दिख भी नहीं रहा वो कहाँ जा रहा है. तो वो चीज बहुत मतलब एग्जाम में कोई पैनिक ना हो, इसलिए पहले से प्रैक्टिस टाइपिंग स्पीड आपको ठीक रखनी होती है. तो टाइपिंग इज आल्सो नेसेसरी.
Right. Gaurav, did you, as you mentioned about Narveer sir's course, English course, did you get your essay evaluated also, or he was giving just general tips?
And I did not take the live class, and I evaluated from my friend, and I evaluated his essay. So you can exchange with your friends and you can do this. तो ऐसे सही रहता है.
ठीक है, so the idea is that a structure should be there, stick to the word limit, follow the structure, and of course practice of typing also, as you said, essay writing as well as typing. It should not be the case that I am typing the essay, like let's say for the very first time in my life, paper में जाके ही. It should not be the case.
That should be blunder.
ठीक है, like do practice पहले से. ठीक है, right. Acha. Now, as we move on to your interview part, phase 1, phase 2, you have told us the strategy. One thing I would like to ask Gaurav, what should be the, let's say, the division of the hours that students are giving? How many hours are required on a daily basis or on a weekly basis? Because see, students probably are working also who are preparing. There are non-working candidates. There are those who are preparing for other exams also. So any like kind of schedule that this much you should do, itna to dena hai daily basis.
And I suppose any मतलब जैसे अगर मैं बोलूँगा 4 घंटे पढ़ना है तो वो सबके लिए feasible नहीं होगा, because quality study matters, quantity study does not matter. What I believe consistency should be there. So अगर आप आज 2 घंटे दे रहे हो तो कल भी आपको कुछ ना कुछ देना है. मतलब ये नहीं आप कल खाली बैठ जाओ, या फिर अगर आप 5 घंटे पढ़ रहे हो तो फिर आप नेक्स्ट डे आधे घंटे पढ़ रहे हो. So I would say maintain consistency. What I did was पहले आप अपना schedule बना लो, stick to it, write down the topics that you want to cover. So what it made me do, like it made me this it made me focus on that topics easily. So I तो जो मैंने टॉपिक्स लिखे थे उसमें मैंने एक्सेल कर लिया इजीली. तो वो हेल्प करता है. आप पहले टाइम टेबल बना लो अपना एडवांस में, स्टिक टू इट एंड मेंटेन कंसिस्टेंसी. सो आप कंसिस्टेंटली परफॉर्म करोगे, बिकॉज अगर मैं बोलूँ 5 घंटे पढ़ना है तो सबके लिए वो 5 घंटे वो नहीं होते, बिकॉज क्वालिटी टाइम बहुत कम होता है उसमें. अगर आप 5 घंटे पढ़ोगे तो एफिशिएंट टाइम जो आपने निकाला होगा वो 2-3 घंटे ही होगा.
So like number of hours से ज़्यादा what matters is the quality of time you are taking out to study properly, and what you are studying you should have that, like as you said, timetable ho that these subjects I'm going to cover in these days, then next these days, and then on this day I'm going to take mock test, right? So guys, note this down that you have to make a timetable. It does not matter how many hours you are giving, but as Mr. Gaurav has said, consistently you should be able to do that, है ना? ठीक है. So fair enough, I think very good advice you've given. Now let us move on to your interview. the most important, I would say, one of the most important part, right? How did you prepare for your interview?
I'm in interview. First of all, I took a mock session from EduTap. So I also preparing by myself. In interview, you cannot say that uh, this would come, this would not come. Anything they can ask.
Hmm.
So first, I would say that prepare your profile first.
Hmm.
What you doing, what you were doing, what you were doing in your job, what was the work you're doing, what was your post, and everything
Hmm.
related to it.
Hmm.
Who was governing your organization? Is there any regulatory body? So पहले आप अपनी प्रोफाइल पे देखो and then go for सेबी oriented things like जो टेक्निकल चीजें हैं, what सेबी do, what are the departments in सेबी, what are the technical things like front running, insider
Hmm.
trading, and ये सारी चीजें.
Hmm.
तो प्रोफाइल बेस ही होता है मोस्टली एंड थोड़ा बहुत टेक्निकल चीजें होती हैं.
ठीक है.
And I would also say that read current affairs and जो भी आपकी regulatory body है. Suppose if you're giving SEBI का आप अगर इंटरव्यू दे रहे हो तो you should know that past 3 to 4 months में SEBI ने क्या steps लिए, क्या न्यूज में रहा, क्या क्या किस किस ऑर्गेनाइजेशन पे फाइन लगाए, ये सारी चीजें. You should be aware about that. उससे क्वेश्चन आ सकते हैं.
ठीक है. So 3 things that I think you have told us for the interview preparation is first your own profile. You should be clear about about where have you worked, what have you studied. So your own profile, personal profile. Then second is the organization that you are going to join. Like let's say SEBI. So you should prepare how does it function, what are its functions, departments. Second that, and third, I can say the regulations or the works done by SEBI which are in news, those things should be prepared.
I remember
ठीक है.
EduTap released one magazine SEBI in news, so that has
हाँ.
really helped me. So in that मेरे को मतलब सर्च नहीं करना पड़ा कि SEBI ने क्या क्या किया था. It was compiled in a way, it was very easy, so it really helped.
We actually covered उसमें ना the regulations of
Yes,
SEBI,
yes,
जितना
yes.
भी regulations they released, and also if something was in news related to SEBI, so all that we collated
That is
for,
important.
because we had this idea कि ऐसा पूछ सकते हैं. ठीक है. And what is the relevance of mock interviews as you yourself have taken? How did they help?
मैं मॉक इंटरव्यूज में क्या होता है, आपका कॉन्फिडेंस पता लग जाता है व्हेन समबडी आस्क यू क्वेश्चन. अगर वो मतलब डायरेक्टली पूछेगा तो आप बता दोगे, अगर वो उसने वही क्वेश्चन डायरेक्टली पूछ लिया तो हाउ वुड यू रिएक्ट, ये चीजें आपको मॉक में पता लगती हैं. तो आप ज्यादा से ज्यादा मॉक इंटरव्यूज देते हो तो आपका कॉन्फिडेंस इंक्रीज होता है. तो ये बहुत बड़ी चीज है कॉन्फिडेंस इंक्रीज करने के लिए, बिकॉज जो भी आप बोलते हो वो कॉन्फिडेंस में बोलो इंटरव्यू में. What I did, I couldn't answer two, 3 questions. I completely said, "Ma'am, I don't know this." But जो भी मैंने आंसर किए वो कॉन्फिडेंटली किए, एंड आई थिंक वो सही थे सब जो भी पूछे. तो the tip is, do not try to bluff them. When you cannot answer, simply say no, ma'am. I don't know this.
Obviously you cannot just fake that, I know this
Yes,
answer.
yes.
They will get to know something. And how did you find the board, the members of the board? Were they cordial, or you found them?
The board is cordial, except one or two. They, when they find something, they can grill on them. So the most of the members in the board are cordial. They are happy. They want to interact with you. तो मतलब इतना कुछ पैनिक होने की जरूरत नहीं है. बस मेंटेन योर कॉन्फिडेंस, मेंटेन योर काम. तो बस.
So key is that prepare for about your own self, then for the related to the organization, and then take mocks to gauge what level are you at, है ना, और उसको improve करने के लिए. This shall suffice interview के लिए.
Definitely. इंटरव्यू के लिए और भी चीजें हैं. यू कैन नॉट रियली कवर एवरीथिंग. सो बहुत सारी चीजें टेक्निकल चीजें भी आ जाती हैं. सो इंटरव्यू में इतना भी डीप नहीं पूछते, बिकॉज आपको वो ट्रेनिंग देंगे तो इतना भी वो नहीं पूछेंगे जो आपको नहीं पता होगा। आपकी वो जानना चाहते हैं व्हाट इज आपकी प्रोफाइल के, आपको बेसिक नॉलेज है या नहीं, बस।
तो बी जेन्युइन इनफ, जितना नॉलेज है उसमें भी, as the way you present yourself. I have one question before we wind up. Naman has asked that, like, about the facial expressions in the interview. Do they also matter, or what is the importance, the way you make your expressions?
And it facial expression really matter, because when you're confident, your facial expression is different, and when you're guessing some answer, your facial expressions are different. So facial expression definitely matters, and also hand movement and gestures also matters, because I have this habit of hand movements. I practiced on that to restrict that movement as much as possible. So इन चीजों पे वर्क कर सकते हैं।
Nice. So I think in a very structured manner, you have told us about all the phases of the examination, starting from phase 1, then phase 2, and interview. I really want that students should find this helpful. And anything that you would like to give, like tip students को देना चाहते हो, कुछ motivation के लिए आप कहना चाहते हो for the candidates?
Ma'am, for motivation, what I did was to focus, to be positive every time. पॉजिटिव कैसे होंगे, आपको ये सोचना है कि यू आर ऑलरेडी इन द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, ओके, सो फोकस दैट you have already passed the examination, you are working on it, so and everything related to it, so इससे पॉजिटिविटी बनी रहती है एंड आपका फ्लो बना रहता है। और मोटिवेशन के लिए आई वुड से सॉरी एंड बाकी चीज के लिए आई वुड से टू find one activity which help you to reduce stress, ये बहुत जरूरी है। For example, you can go for a run, you can work out, you can dance, any one activity, one or two activity which you find।
ठीक है, so I think again, motivational things you have shared, they will help aspirants again. So thank you so much, Gaurav, taking out your precious time and sharing your strategy. We are really thankful to you.
Thank you for inviting me.
And we also wish you all the very best. We hope you're gonna be a very good officer at SEBI, right? So from entire family of students and faculty members, wishing you all the best.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, I would say that EduTap has really helped me in my preparation, and it has a role in my in the journey, in my journey. So I would like to
Thank you so much. I'll definitely convey this to all our members also. We are humbled by this. Thank you for your time.